Chillville. I know it's been a minute. I've been lacking. I know. Give me a minute. Just be patient with me, all right? It's going to be a minute. But I'm going to get back consistent like I was before. Anyway, moving forward. Today I want to talk to y'all about how to learn to lead. And this is mostly going to be like, obviously, from my males, my men out here, mostly orientated towards them. But that doesn't mean that any of my females that's watching this can't learn nothing from it. Now, what I want to start it off with is the reason why it is mostly males, because I figured if you look at the stats for real, they got to lead most of the time. If we're keeping it a buck, that's what happens. That's nature. That's life. That's the whole ordeal. And things they got to lead in is like work, even though I'm not saying a female can't lead in none of these things, but still work, relationships, children, even yourself. Like as a man, you're supposed to know you can't lead if you can't lead yourself type junk. So when you start learning those things, then you have to also recognize that you're even leading when you're at home. And what I mean by that, okay, so say you're the older brother, or say you're the only boy at that. You are paid attention to heavenly, like not heavenly, but heavily. You are paid attention to heavily. And with that being said, if you got a younger sibling or something, whatever you do, they're gonna be growing up thinking that's the exact same thing they want to do, or any of that type of stuff. Which will bring me to my first point with leading in general, is that you have to lead by example. What does leading by example mean? Leading by example is basically whatever you see somebody else do, you would expect, say you see somebody cleaning their room type junk, or any of those type of things, working hard at work. Whatever you expect other people to be doing, that's what you should be doing as well. Not to be a follower, but for things that are supposed to be productive, and that's a benefit. Like, you should be able to determine the two differences. Anyway, so with that being said, leading by example, recognizing that you are being watched by those little siblings of yours, or even by the females, your mom, any of them, you are being paid attention to. And as a leader, what you have to do is you have to know when and what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you can't be arguing with your little sibling and then expecting your parent to look at you and think you grown. That's not what grown folks do. So what you have to do is know how to de-escalate certain situations, how to talk to people, how to any of those type of things, and doing it in the correct way. So if you saw somebody else coming and trying to check you, how would you want them to check you in the first place for something that you know you shouldn't be doing, or something that you know you should have thought about before you did? Now, the thing about that is when you start thinking that way, not only does it help you become a leader, it helps you, how do I say this? It builds your reputation, and your reputation as someone that people look at for guidance is going to be the biggest thing. If you were a liar in the past, people ain't going to be looking at you like, I'm finna listen to this person. No, that doesn't make sense. So you want to seem and work on your trustworthiness, on your building bonds with people, all of those things. And that would lead me to my second point. As a leader, you have to know how to speak up. Speak up for yourself. Speak up for those people around you. Speak up for, even the mistreated on things. Just any of that type of stuff. You got to know how to speak up and say what is not okay, what is not something that you approve of, or you just certainly agree. Once again, going back to my last point, that goes with de-escalating certain situations, or just how you talk to other people, just in general. If you aren't able to stand up for yourself, one of the biggest things that you've heard people talk about, a closed mouth don't get fed. A closed mouth has to do what's said, for real. Like, if you think about it, if you're not speaking, there's never going to be a change. If you're not the one that's starting the change, obviously you can wait until somebody else does it. But I'm talking about for you specifically in your life, most of the time you're going to have to be the one to step up and say something in the first place. And if you're gonna have to be the person that steps up and says something, then it's like, you realize if you are not, that's your life. You know, that you are allowing other people to say, this is how my life is to go. But any leader is the one who leads how their life is supposed to play out. You don't go by what other people tell you to. You know, not saying that you won't have to, because that's the other point that I have. In order to be a leader, you have to know how to follow. So you're gonna have to be a follower from time to time. You're gonna have to be that one that cleaned up the house every day. You're gonna have to be the one that cleaned the fryer at the job, or had to deal with that manager who was mean. Because when it's your time to become that leader, you know exactly how to handle those situations. Like, if you knew your last manager was a jerk, you know what are the things that you would have wanted him to work on while being your boss, or any of those type of things. And I must say that when you've worked on, because deepest thing I heard was somebody say, you cannot multiply something unless you learned it first. You can't be someone who just naturally knows how to do everything. You have to fail. You have to go through those small moments and learn and be told what you're supposed to do and what not to. Because without that guidance, you'll probably end up being and teaching people the worst way to do things, you know, or not the most efficient way. So when you have someone that leads you and you are the follower and actually listens and all of that type of stuff, then when it's your time to shine, you'll know exactly what it's like, what kind of employee you would have wanted, what kind of employee you would have wanted to be at your job as you working that manager, or even just how you want to talk to those employees and the managers, because you were in their shoes. You were exactly in their shoes. So when you learn that you were in those exact shoes that this person you're talking to now, you'll probably know how to talk to them with certain things. Now, that doesn't mean everybody, but it means a good amount of people. You can tell them, hey, I've been in your same position. I know exactly what it's like, but this is what I need us to work on or do, or any of that type of stuff. The last thing would be number 4, and that would be actively learning and then being consistent with that. So as a leader, say someone tells you, because actively learning is something that you have to, it comes with the process of going through it. So when you end up getting into a relationship and your female may tell you, hey, look, I don't like that you was late picking me up from work, or I don't like that you was late trying to, or even your friends, family, it really don't matter. Any of those type of people, when you actively are listening to what they are saying and then collaborating with them, not letting them boss you around, but collaborating, saying, this is what I need to make sure that I can be as successful or as on point as you need me to be. And learning from those things and staying consistent with what you have learned. Because you can learn something, and if you're not being consistent with it, it'll go right out the window from not actively using it. Just like how they tell you, if you got a gift, you'll lose it if you don't use it. That's with anything, for real. You will naturally lose anything that you aren't naturally practicing every single day, or as often as possible. So with that being said, that's my video. I hope it's good, but we working on it. We slowly but surely coming back on point with our videos and the times and all that type of stuff. I'm gonna go live, try to make time. Shout out, I think her name Audrey, but there's a couple people that I gotta shout out from coming to my lives and all that. If y'all want to see what it's like, come join my lives. We get lit over there. We vibe. We enjoy our times, bro. And we just enjoying it. And you can help me with next videos if you want to. Get your name shout out at the next vid, all that type of stuff. Love y'all. Take care of yourself.